We invited a wine connoisseur, a master of wine, to come in and then smell the socks of a run club runners who would wear a pair sock and a regular sock on their 2 feet and run a 5K run. So the wine connoisseur will come in and smell the pair sock and the regular sock of 30 runners after that run and rate the smelliness of those socks. And at the end of the day, turns out that pair socks are 80% less smellier than any other socks out there, that whatever those runners were wearing.
You're listening to Customer Growth Sessions, presented by Intergrowth, where we talk through strategies to help up-and-coming e-commerce businesses bring in more customers. I'm your host, Pat Ahern. Let's jump in.
All right, listeners, welcome back to the latest episode of Customer Growth Sessions. Today, I'm thrilled to have on Nathan Yun, the co-founder and CEO over at Paire. Nathan, welcome to the show.
Hi, Pat. Thanks for having me.
We're psyched to have you on today. Can you start out by giving us an overview? What is Paire?
Paire is an essential basics clothing brand based in Australia. We focus on fabric technology, which means that we develop our own materials and fabrics to solve very specific problems within the clothing industry. Before Paire came along, nothing in the clothing market are functional, comfortable, and sustainable all at once. But Paire has redesigned and reinvented the wheels of fashion in order to achieve all those things in one brand and one product.
So tell us, how did you and your co-founder Rex end up getting started with the business?
So Rex and I, we always wanted to start businesses. So we have started other businesses in the past, but Paire was the latest idea that actually we saw traction of and was doing pretty well in the first year. The idea came about when I looked at the market when I was shopping, and I felt exactly what I said earlier. Nothing on the market is functional and comfortable and sustainable all at once. A lot of activewear that I buy are not sustainable enough, and a lot of daily loungewear or just casual wear I buy are not functional enough, let's say. So I thought, wouldn't it be great to have a clothing brand that can hit all the boxes? So I talked to Rex, who's my co-founder, and he's a textile expert. His family has been running textile manufacturing for decades. And initially, Rex was like, if you want something that can tick all the boxes, you might need new fabric, because anything off the shelf like cotton or polyester are not going to do the work for you. Even 100% wool is not the best durability. So he looked into it, and then he talked to a lot of specialists in his network. And eventually he realized that you need to develop your own fabric in order to create something that's brand new for the market. And that's what we ended up with. And we launched with socks because socks is a very cheap and low-end product in the fashion industry. As a startup, I guess we didn't have much resources. So we have to prove the business model work with a very small product. And since we launched socks, it went pretty viral for the first 12 months. People were coming back for it. There's a lot of word of mouth, a lot of return customers. We got some really good press around it. And we realized that we're really onto something here. So we applied the same business model, redeveloping fabric for a better purpose onto other categories like underwear, t-shirts, hoodies, sweaters, loungewear, etc. And activewear, our recent range, leggings, sports bras. And they all got the same success. And I guess that's where we are here now, 4 years into the business. This is our 5th year now. And things have been going great. Every new category we launch is a hit, which proves the business model really works.
Amazing. And, I can say as a newbie Paire customer that I'm wearing a pair of your socks right now, and I love them. They're it's amazing. This pair right here, it's the second time I've worn them. First time I wore them, zero smell to the socks after wearing it for whatever it was, 18 hours or so. But yeah, I can see where the virality comes into play. And along those lines, that virality is a big thing that I want to dive into today in really 2 different segments. 1, talking about like the broad term of growth hacking, but 2, talking about A/B testing, which I think of as like maybe not necessarily like a core element of virality, but something that can really help to push that virality to get more sales once you do generate virality to begin with. Maybe a good place to start. Can you talk to us a little about some of the like growth hacking strategies that you rolled out in the really early days of the business?
Yeah, if you're talking about really early days, we launched around Black Friday 2020, which for the record is a really bad time to launch. You're launching in the middle of the highest CPC, CPM, the worst time for CAC and everything, that Black Friday weekend. So first advice is never launch on the sales season. And obviously we were not in a great place when we launched on that Black Friday. So throughout December, Rex and I were just sitting at home, looking at the piles of socks we have, thinking, we have this great product. How do we get it out there? So one idea came along, which is we just printed out postcards and tried to give one to everyone on the street that we were living on in our suburbs. Personally, I'm really big on growth hacking, and I never wanted to just do one simple thing and just like put it out there. Everything has to have an intention. Everything has to be strategized. That's just me, my natural personality. So when we designed the postcards, first of all, I wanted to test two different offers. One is $10 off and one is 10% off. Very classic A/B test for the new customers. And I also tested another group, which is half price and versus buy one, get one free. Again, another very classic A/B test. So there you go. You already have 4 different variations of postcards. We even tested handwriting and print text on the back of the card. And we tested different photography that goes on the other side of postcard. So I think eventually we probably have like 16 to 20 versions of the postcards. And we probably printed like 200 each of them. And we just went around Melbourne suburbs and just hand delivered all those postcards one by one. Just Rex and I walking down the streets for days, delivering cards. And in the end, obviously, we found that handwriting works better, or it was like $10 was better than 10% off. I think half price was better than buy one, get one free. I can't really remember, but that was really one little stepping stone to how I approach growth hacking. And all those winning offers later on became our online offers because humanity is the same, right? If $10 works better than 10% offline with a postcard, it's going to work better at your checkout or on your email subscribe. I think growth hacking is something that you can test with anything, and all those learning can be applied to anything else as well.
Let's say from this, it sounds like, maybe there were 10 to 20 different postcard variants that you rolled out. How did you go about tracking success with those? You mentioned, you think like, I think it was the 50% off. That was a really big hit, handwritten postcards. So how did you go about determining that was really the winner?
Oh, that's very easy. You just give different discount codes because we use Shopify. So every offer will have a different discount code. Even if we change the photography on the other side, or we use handwriting versus printed text, we still create a different discount code. And in the backend, we'll have a spreadsheet of our own, knowing which discount code equals which test variation. And then you just line that up and see how many times the discount code was used.
So with growth hacking, and you started to hit upon this point early in your response, one of the perceptions that I oftentimes have of growth hacking is that it's all about like these viral moments and almost like this one-hit wonder type mindset of like, let's try and roll out a growth hack that's going to take us to 1 million customers with no real like follow-up, which can be great for that one-off. But in my experience, it's really tough to scale a growth hacking strategy and have like constant new growth hacks that you're rolling out. Really long-winded way of me asking, are there certain questions that you ask yourself, resources that you're regularly looking towards to help you to get into that mindset, to think about not just what's the growth hack we're going to roll out now, but maybe what's the next growth hack that we're going to roll out a month from now or 6 months from now?
Good question. Most of my growth hacking mentality came from the book Hacking Growth. And I think it has a lot of playbook inside. And the way I look at it is growth hacking is definitely not a one-off moment. Growth hacking, at least the way I understood it, is a long way of optimization. You could be improving 1% every day, but eventually that will build up to something bigger. It's that compounding effect of all the little learnings and little wins and gains that you get. I would say anything is testable, like email subject lines, the pop-up email, lifestyle image, new customer offers, your meta ads, website, obviously, there's so much to test. Add to cart upsell, post-purchase upsell. There's so much to test that I think any little moment in the business could be a growth hacking moment. Like even when you launch a product, you can launch 2 versions of the product and then see which one was received better. So I think anything could be a test, and you could take that learning and apply it to more things. And I think to me, that is what growth hacking is about.
And just to confirm, so Hacking Growth, I believe that's Sean Ellis, correct?
Yes, that's the book. I think it was a red cover. Sean Ellis.
Yeah. I was going to say, listeners, we'll add a link in the show notes to check out that book. I love that, Nathan. So on the note of online and how that comes into play with growth hacking, I want to talk specifically about some of the online growth hacking strategies. What I'd love to do though is, can we take a couple minutes? Can I walk through like my experience going to your website, purchasing for the first time? And then can we break down some of the different like A/B tests / growth hacks that were rolled out there?
Sure. I'd love to hear that as well, from a customer's perspective.
Awesome. So for context, I went onto the site after you and I first spoke, and I said, for me, like I just haven't found a sock brand in particular that I really like. I've had one brand that I've been using for like ankle socks for years, and their quality is clearly going down. I won't mention the brand by name. They were great, haven't been the best recently. So, when you mention like really high-end socks are kind of how we started, I said, all right, I got to give these guys a try. So I go to the site, I'm thinking, okay, I'll spend $10, $20. Let's say I'll get a pair of socks, pay a little bit for shipping, we'll be good to go. And then I looked on the site just to see, hey, shipping Australia to Sweden, where I currently am, it's a bit of a distance. Let's make sure you guys do ship there. But I look on there and I see, okay, it's $30, let's say, for shipping. So I start doing the math and I'm like, well, I don't want to pay $30 for shipping. But then I see this little catch on there, like, oh, if you spend $200, shipping is actually entirely free. At that point, I'm looking there and I'm saying, oh, okay, so I just have to spend $200 and then I don't have to pay for shipping. And for me, paying for shipping is like one of the worst things you can make me do. It's like paying for parking. I refuse to do it if there's an alternative. So my mindset instantly becomes, okay, well, I have to spend $200 to get the free shipping. So I look on the site, I find a couple pairs of socks that look great. And then I see this one offers page that I don't remember the exact number, but it was like, if you buy X pairs of socks, you get a 10% discount, I think. So then I start thinking, okay, well, I have to at least buy this many pairs of socks in order to get this discount as well. And then I get a couple other items in there. I rope my wife in and I say, hey, Eve, why don't you get a pair of socks as well? It's a cool new brand. We're going to check it out. And then I get to the cart page and my order total is, let's say, $200. And one of the things that I found on the cart, which I resisted the temptation on this one specifically, but there was a little, I would describe it as like a progress bar that it showed, hey, you've committed to like this amount of money. As a result, you qualify for free shipping. But if you spend X dollars more, you also get this free item included. And I was really tempted, but I said, okay, I went from spending $20 to $200. That's good. Let's call it a day from there. And then also, like, to add to that, I purchased the order. I instantly get a confirmation. I get a DHL like tracking number that comes through 5 minutes later. And I think it was the next morning, I got an email from you guys that was all about like how to actually maintain your pair of socks, talking about like, hey, here's proper washing instructions, all around incredible customer experience. But what I want to specifically talk about is I went from going in with the mindset of, oh, I'm going to spend $20 to, oh, I very happily spent $200. So that's a 10x bump in sales that you got right there. Can we talk about some of those individual components and the tests that you ran to roll those out?
Struggling to get new customers? We're here to help. Hey, this is Pat, the host of Customer Growth Sessions. Our agency, Intergrowth, has been helping e-commerce brands like Bella Bridesmaids, Brevity, and JS Dental to get more customers online since 2016. Interested in seeing how we'd help you? Head over to intergrowth.com/CGS to book a complimentary consultation with me. That's intergrowth.com/CGS. All right, back to the show.
Oh, first of all, I'm really glad that those marketing psychology worked on you.
Maybe I'm just a sheep.
Well, obviously there was a lot of testing that, that made us end up here, right? We're 4 years into business. We had numerous tests on the website. And all the things you've mentioned were part of the test. If you jumped on the website, let's say 2 to 3 years ago, you might notice the free shipping threshold just constantly changes over a few months because we were testing where's the perfect balance, like what's the best balance or threshold for that free shipping. because there's always a sweet spot of AOV and CAC and conversion rate, right? So AOV was the first thing that we really played around with domestically and internationally. To be very honest, for international orders, we're still losing a little bit of money on the shipping. It's just really expensive to ship to, let's say, Sweden or the States or Europe, anywhere else. But at the moment, we really want people around the world to try us. So $200 for free shipping is a fairly low threshold. It's there to encourage people to try us, and then we'll like to foot the shipping. But what really happens is we're very likely to still pay the majority of that shipping fee for you. And if you didn't hit $200 and you're only paying $30 for shipping, then we are paying a lot more shipping there. But, for international, our strategy is really just to get more people to try it. And I think we learned this from Asia e-commerce world. In Asia, where e-commerce is a lot more, let's say, advanced or developed, free shipping is a huge, huge thing. Like, they figured out that people hate shipping really early on, and all the businesses would do anything to avoid letting the customers pay shipping. And what most businesses would do is to incorporate that shipping cost into the actual prices of the products. But anyway, with shipping, we do have different thresholds for Australia and international, and the actual threshold are all well tested and well designed to find that best balance that we can afford.
Real quick, listeners, don't be too angry if you go to buy a pair of socks and you see the shipping threshold has changed a little bit. That's amazing, Nathan. So let's talk about the offers page. Whatever it was, buy X pairs, get X% off. Talk to me a little about how you rolled that out.
Yeah, again, we sell a lot of bundles. Socks comes in bundles. I think that's not a new concept. It's just a matter of how many pairs of socks should go into a bundle. That actually took a long time to test, which is super interesting. Since day one, we probably did, 20, 30 different variations of the bundles. We did pack of 2, pack of 3, pack of 4, pack of 3 plus 1. That sounds really good. Pack of 6 plus 2. We just change up the names, but it could essentially be the same thing or same price. And there was one really interesting thing that I did just about 2 years ago. This is more for the business owners out there. We were doing pack of 3 for the longest time ever since we launched, because that has always been the best, let's say, tier. So we did pack of 3 for a very long time. It just makes sense, right? Pack of 3 pairs of socks. Sounds very nice. But about 2 years ago, I changed the minimum packs to 4 packs. So you have to buy a pack of 4 to get the entry level of bundle discount. And that actually did not affect our conversion rate at all. And we were all surprised because the AOV just went up like 25%, right? Or 30%. But the conversion rate and CAC were not impacted almost, at all. And we were all so surprised, and we were like, God, we wish we did this earlier. So there are all these little moments that you just have to test it. So now the minimum bundle is a pack of 4. And of course, we were so greedy, we tried a pack of 5, but that didn't land well. But sometimes you just find those sweet spots with all these kind of tests. And these are the tests I mean. Sometimes we tested with 5% off for pack of 4, or 10% off, or 20% off, 50% off. We try different percentage as well for the different packs. And I guess this is a privilege you get as a small business, which is you can change your offer every 2-3 months and no one would notice, because you only have 1,000 customers or 2,000 customers coming in a week or a month. That's a tiny number compared to the whole market out there. And you're constantly acquiring new customers. So most customers who come on your website will be the first time for them anyway. And knowing that gave us the balls to just keep changing the offer every 2-3 months to find out the best ones. We don't change our bundle offers that often now, because I think we found the best formula. I think it's a pack of 4 and 8 to start off with. We're still testing the third tier. Right now, I think it's 15 pairs. We might lower that to 12 pairs very soon, but we're still testing even today. Another really fun test I did, again, just 2-3 months ago, was instead of showing the 3 tiers of bundle, pack of 4, you get 5%, pack of 8, you get 10%, etc. We found that on some product pages, if you only show 1 tier, that performs even better. So if you give them one option for bundles, let's say you used to have the options of buying pack of 3 and 4 and 5. Right now, I only show them if you get pack of 4, you get X% off. That actually outperformed, showing all the tiers. So even to today, we're still running these kind of tests on the website.
Wow. Within that, like, how do you go about, I guess, determining the right timeline and the right amount of data that you need to collect in order to say, hey, this specific offer or this specific test works better than this other one? Is there a certain amount of like visitors, orders, purchase number? Yeah, we'd love to hear about that.
Yeah, for sure. Obviously, every A/B testing software will provide statistically significant result. I think that was the word. And I think it usually goes for 99.9% confidence, or could be lower. I could be wrong here. But every software has their own statistically significant benchmark, let's say. For me, it's a combination of being statistically significant and also have 50% gut feeling in it. And gut feeling comes from experience. I've been in marketing for over 10 years. I would confidently say I have a fair bit of experience with what works and what not works. It has to be statistically significant to a certain level, but I wouldn't wait till there's 99.99% of confidence. Sometimes I'll put a trigger at 80%, I'll put a trigger at 75%. If based on my experience, I think it's good enough. And in terms of traffic, I would still need each variant to be in the thousands. I think 5,000 per variant is usually a good starting point for smaller businesses. If it's super significant uptick, then maybe 2,000-3,000 is good enough. I know a lot of bigger businesses would like to see 10K or even 15K traffic per variant. But for me, I think 5K is a pretty good number. And again, if you get 5K per variant and the improvement is like 1% to 2%, then obviously I wouldn't really pull the trigger at all. It could be just a chance thing and I'll wait for longer. So I would say there's no perfect formula. That's why I have to give it a bit of gut feeling when I make the decision.
I loved what you said with like the specifically stuck out to me there was the use of the word like good, or the phrase good enough, which I think that a lot of times it can be really easy to fall into that stage of like analysis paralysis and saying, hey, we need to make sure that we have like perfect information before we roll this out. But one of the things I'm hearing there is a certain amount of that decision does have to come down to your gut if you want to actually push things forward. Like you probably are never going to get to a point, unless you are a more established business, where you have 99.9% confidence in that decision you're going to roll out. If you get to 80% and you say, hey, I'm 80% sure this is going to lead to a 10% uptick in revenue, like, yeah, roll that out. That's probably in the good enough realm there.
To add to that, I think you mentioned earlier, like growth hacking, some people see it as viral moments. I would like to break it down and say growth hacking is probably about those micro viral moments, which means if I change the bundle offer from A to B, and if the performance improves significantly on that one product page, let's say conversion rate improved 50%, that's a really significant result. And that's a micro viral moment that did really well for us. And I think that's an important thing to apply right away, because if you have to wait for another 3 months to get 99.9% confidence, then that's all opportunity cost that you're missing out on. And as a small business, I don't think we have the time to wait around for that. And it's already showing such a huge result within, let's say, 2 to 3 weeks. Then I would say just pull the trigger and make that call, because you already got a small micro moment. You want to replicate that and you want to push that sidewide right away.
Oh man, I love that. And that's such a good point. Like for me, I definitely look at growth hacking as way more of maybe not winning the lottery, but I look at it much more as like something massive that you roll out that's going to triple your sales overnight or over the course of a month. But looking at it as, hey, how can we get these, as you said, micro viral moments that are going to lead to a big uptick in the long term when they compile? I think that's a much healthier way of looking at it, a much more realistic way, so that you can keep that mindset in the long term.
Yeah, as small businesses, we can't bet on luck. So we have to make sure our methods are very practical, and it's something that we can do over and over again for the next few years as well. And that's how I see growth hacking, really. It's a very steady way to success.
So I want to ask you about some of the tools that you're using for all of this functionality. So let's start out with A/B testing. You're on Shopify right now. Is there one A/B testing tool that you recommend, maybe amongst the others that you've A/B tested?
Yeah, I used to really like Google Optimized until they discontinued the product. I like it because it's free. And now my alternative is VWO. I looked for an alternative for a while, and VWO is the other one that does have a free plan. And we are actually still on the free plan. I'm still thinking whether I want to invest in the product, but it does what Google Optimize does mostly. So it's a really handy tool. Yeah, that's for the website optimization. For cart upsell, we use an app called Monstercart Upsell. We also have a post-purchase app upsell, which is just called OneClick Upsell. But the cart upsell app doesn't allow A/B tests. The post-purchase upsell app allows A/B tests. There's also a lot of A/B tests that are done manually, such as the postcard idea. Discount code tracking is just spreadsheets. And with Klaviyo, I think that also allows you to do a lot of A/B tests with your email headlines, your pop-up form design. And of course, there's also a lot of A/B tests happening on the meta ads.
Oh, that's phenomenal. And listeners, we'll share links in the show notes to all these different tools so that you can check them out as well. I love hearing that you're still on the free plan. I'm the same way, that it kills me to spend money on software. I'll go freemium as long as I can.
Yeah. Small businesses, hey, like we don't really have that resource to spend.
Of course. Now, and with these tools, are these the types of tools that if I'm rolling this out for my e-commerce site, could I set up a lot of these tools without the help of a developer, or should I plan on allocating some dev resources to get this live?
Tell me if this sounds like you. You've started scaling the business through PPC channels like Facebook, but now it eats up 80% of your marketing budget, and ad costs continue to rise, pushing your margins down more and more every month. PPC is great for scaling your business in the early stages. The issue is PPC is like a faucet. As soon as you stop spending money, the sales instantly go away. So rather than paying per customer, we work with brands to build a steady stream of new customers through SEO. Those customers continue to flow for years after brands stop working with us. Interested in hearing more? Reach out to us directly at intergrowth.com/CGS to book a complimentary strategy session with our team.
Great question. VWO does require a tiny bit of tech help to set up, but it's not that hard. I forgot to mention there's another price testing app I use. It's called Elevate A/B Test, I believe. And that one is really good because the customer support actually gives you all the tech support you might need. And that's really good for price testing or product page testing. All the other apps I mentioned, you probably won't need any tech help with. You just need to have Shopify and just know how to use Shopify pretty much.
Man, even better. Well, let's see. I think the last thing I wanted to get into today is I want to talk about PR for a minute, because I would say you have a very contrarian take when it comes to PR, and I really like the way that you think about it. I guess, yeah, very broadly, talk to me about your views on PR. For context, I would say the majority of businesses that I talk to look at PR as like, how can we, whatever angle we can go, as long as it's not painting the brand in a negative light, how can we get our brand featured on these big name publications so that a lot of people hear about us? But Paire obviously takes a slightly different approach with this.
Yeah, again, as a small business, we don't really have that much resource to spend on PR campaigns or like big publication coverage. We can't spend like 50, 100 grand on any of these things. So we have to make every cent count. And the way I approach it is Paire, first of all, is a product-driven business. And whatever PR story that goes out about Paire has to be about the product itself. And it has to be about some of the USP of that product. So we don't really do founder background stories or like too many business success stories unless they're free, which a lot of them are nowadays. But in the early days, we really want to promote the products as the center of the story, which is really, really hard for PR because you know how a lot of PR hate selling products for the brands. So one of the first ideas we got, which actually got us onto TV, we got primetime television in Australia for this story. We got onto this show called A Current Affair, which is like a primetime 8 o'clock. It's kind of like 60 Minutes or whatever equivalent is out there. And the idea we had is we invited a wine connoisseur, a master of wine, to come in and then smell the socks of a run club runners who would wear a Paire sock and a regular sock on their 2 feet and run a 5K run. So the wine connoisseur will come in and smell the Paire sock and the regular sock of 30 runners after that run and rate the smelliness of those socks. And at the end of the day, turns out that Paire socks are 80% less smellier than any other socks out there, that whatever those runners were wearing. And we got to introduce why is this, what's the science behind it, how did we design the fabric to make this happen. And turns out, the TV actually likes that story. They came and filmed it and it went on. We had that huge viral moment as a PR moment. And this is what I mean by the story has to be about the product and it has to be about a selling point of that product. We took the same strategy when we went on to Shark Tank, for example. We were on Shark Tank Australia last year. And when we went on the show, we didn't really plan to get the investment. They might not be happy to hear that. But again, we took that as a PR moment to sell our products. We went on the show, we asked the judge to smell the socks that we were wearing. And again, it didn't smell. And that gave us a huge moment about our products. We always put our products at the center of the spotlight rather than us or the business or any other fancy stories that are irrelevant to sales or conversion. If a PR story doesn't convert for us, it's a bit pointless. Which is, I know that's very, very different to a lot of other PR strategies out there. But again, as a startup, we need everything to convert. We need every dollar spent to be worth it. So that's the strategy behind our PR.
And, listeners, one of the fun little stories that Nathan shared with me when we first met is it's not like they're lacking for interesting story angles that they could move forward with. You know what, Nathan, one of the first things you shared with me when we were kind of like chatting and you were telling me about the story of the brand is you mentioned that one of your first, I think it was your first job maybe, that you were working for Jackie Chan, like on film with Jackie Chan. And every TechCrunch journalist would love to write a story about like, oh, this former Jackie Chan employee has started this new clothing brand. So
yeah, even our investors in the early days, they were like, why don't you go on as, the Jackie Chan's apprentice or ex-Jackie Chan team member now selling socks? Everyone was like, you could push yourself in the camera. That will give you great coverage, great story headlines. But I didn't want to dump money into the waste. I'm like, sure, I'll get the coverage, but we're not going to make any sales from that story. And people will still be, what is Paire? And that's not what we want here. We're here to sell some socks with the PR. And now there's more like t-shirts and activewear and hoodies and everything. So the PR story has to make sense. It has to mention or highlight the product qualities, unless we're not paying for it, really.
Well, I would hope that Jackie Chan at least has turned back around and maybe bought a pair of socks after all this time. Oh man, Nathan, this has been amazing. First of all, for listeners that want to buy Paire, we've been talking a lot about socks, but maybe give us a full picture. What do you guys sell for products at large, and where can people go to actually buy Paire products?
Yeah, first of all, it's paire.com. So Paire is Paire. We have paire.com that you can go and check out. We started with socks that are merino wool and organic cotton blends. We soon expanded to t-shirts that has blended eucalyptus tree fiber, which is very unique to Australia as well. We do underwear with a regenerated silk gusset. And regenerated silk pretty much just means we break down those silk cocoons and we turn that powder into a new yarn. We use corn waste to make activewear. So we have a full range of activewear that's made from 50% corn waste. And we launched the silk knit sweater, which is a wool sweater that feels like silk. We also have a cool blend winter range right now that we pretty much has woven wool and cotton into the same piece of fabric, which took us 2 years to develop. So all these trademark materials took us at least 1 year to develop, are all delivering miracle results for real life problems. Let's say underwear, for example. It's like, we have this lipstick underwear that can fit into the size of a lipstick and you can take it around traveling. It dries in 1 minute and the gusset is antibacterial, so it doesn't smell. Our bras that we just launched are wireless, and they're not just wireless. You can wear them on your 30-hour long flights, let's say from Sweden to Australia. if your wife is wearing a bra, she wouldn't feel uncomfortable at all if it's a Paire bra. So we do all these kind of things that's really material science driven. The design is fairly basic and essential. We want to design timeless classic designs that will stay in people's wardrobes for the next 10 years rather than throwing them away in a year. So we try to keep it timeless and focus on the comfort and functionality and the materials.
And for listeners that want to follow you and want to follow Paire on social, what are the best places for them to find you?
So Rex and myself, we are the co-founders of Paire. We are on LinkedIn. That's probably just a good place. And Paire is on Instagram, of course, and we just have the handle Paire. TikTok would be a good place. I'm not sure if it's banned in the US yet.
We'll see when the episode goes live, but as of apparently 2 days ago, apparently the ban was delayed again for now.
Yeah, you never know what's going to happen in 2 months. But yeah, we're on TikTok, Instagram, and LinkedIn for our personal profiles.
I love it. And listeners, check out the show notes. We'll have links to the Paire website, both Nathan and Rex's LinkedIn profiles, Paire's Instagram and TikTok, assuming TikTok is still live when the episode goes live. We'll wrap it up from here. But once again, listeners, this is Nathan Yun, the CEO and co-founder over at Paire. Nathan, thank you for coming on today.
Thank you so much for having me, Pat. Great fun.
Thanks for tuning in to Customer Growth Sessions. If you found it helpful, subscribe and give us a review. It helps us to grow the show. Looking for more SEO guidance on how to grow your business? Contact us at intergrowth.com/estimator or email me directly. You can reach me at pat@intergrowth.com. That's all for today. We'll see you again soon.